Ibrahim in the centre of defence. And already that Egyptian starting lineup, which we thought was going to be that 4-3-2-1, it appears to be a slightly different shape. Abdel Magoud, who we thought might be in the centre midfield, appears to have dropped into a back three. And Hossam Hassan really keeping everyone guessing in this tournament. But Egypt have defended fairly well in this tournament so far. It's just they haven't probably scored as many goals as they would like. In fact, they've only scored one goal in the first half of the 4 matches they've already played. And when you've got the likes of Mo Salah and Omar Mamouche up front, that is most unusual. But good football from the Ivory Coast, and Ghessan finds Kessie, who then had his pocket picked, and Ashur will thread that through towards Mamouche, who will break in towards the box. And just as I was saying, they haven't scored in the first half, only once in 4 games. It's taken them 3 minutes this evening to get underway. Omar Mamouche finds the bottom left-hand corner. It was Frank Kessie who had his pocket picked in midfield, and it's a good ball through from Imam Mashour to Omar Mamouche. He took a couple of touches into the box on the left-hand side, opened up his body and just passed it into the bottom left-hand corner. Fofana beaten, and Egypt, the side who we said probably haven't scored enough goals in this tournament, have been disappointing in front of goal, have taken 3 minutes to get us underway. Brilliant footwork from Mamouche. Kasono was left for dead, but it's all a little bit sloppy from the Ivory Coast. But the Man City man couldn't miss from there as soon as he was in on goal. And what a start we've had to this knockout encounter. And it's our 7-time champions Egypt that take the lead through Man City's Omar Mamouche. Hasn't scored since match day 1, where he got the equaliser against Zimbabwe after going behind. And he will be absolutely delighted to get himself on the score sheet. He's seen his club side put 10 past a League One team in the FA Cup over in England this afternoon, and it's taken him 3 minutes to get us going. And what a start to this quarter-final. And it's Kessie's pass has been lost again, and Mamouche will run down the left-hand side, level with the box, puts the ball in, and it's cleared away by Ndika, and that'll be a throw-in to Egypt on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the area. The head-to-head in AFCON between these two sides often is a cagey affair that's quite often gone to penalties. But this game has opened right up straight away with that Egyptian goal. Ball forward towards Salah. Fofana's going to come out and can only clear that away for a throw into Egypt on the right hand side, level with the edge of the area. I just wonder whether Hossam Hassan has just caught the Ivory Coast cold here with a slightly different formation to what everyone thought. It's going to be Hane on the right hand side, just takes the throw into Ashur and gets it back from the midfield man, but good battle in there from Ali to bring the ball away, and the Ivory Coast can work that from left to right. Forward comes Kasono of Atalanta, who got left for dead by Omar Mamouche for that goal. And the reigning champions work it from right to left, and Conan will come forward, finds Ghessan, who turns with his back to goal and spreads it right for Kessie, who moves it over to Ahmad. Ahmad's going to attack the corner of the box and gets down towards the byline, puts the ball in, and that's a good block in the end from Rabia, and that'll be behind for a goal, a corner to the Ivory Coast. Already you can see as soon as Diallo gets on the ball, the Egyptian defence are heightened. So many people running towards him to try and slow him down, but he managed to wriggle towards the byline and put the ball across before it was cleared away. So 7 minutes gone here, and it Agadir, Egypt 1, Ivory Coast 0, but Ivory Coast have a corner on the far side. Ball comes in, left-footed in-swinger, and it's a free header, and it's just come off his shoulder and away. That's a glorious opportunity. Ivory Coast keep possession until Ataya will really battle away and wins the ball and the free kick. Great ball in on the corner. Marmoush is really pumped up here as the free kick goes the Egyptians' way. So ball back underway on the edge of the Egyptian area, and Ibrahim will send it long and forward, but too long for anyone, and that'll bounce a couple of times through to Fofana. Just rolls it out to Ndika, and Ndika will bring it forward. Left-footed, clips it out towards Doué on the right-hand side. Doué trades passes with Kessie, and again it's sloppy, but well won back by Olai in the middle. And he'll drive forward, finds Gessan. Gessan strong, shrugs off a couple of tackles, then goes to ground and wins his side a free kick. It's Ashore who gives away the foul. He pleads his innocence. It's a little bit of a coming together between Gessan and one of the Egyptian defenders. Gessan, of course, in the Premier League this season with Aston Villa. It might be a familiar name to a lot of people now. He's just gone head to head with Yasser Ibrahim. Both of them thrusting their head towards each other, but nothing given by the match official. We do have VAR, but it looks like they're willing to leave that alone between those two. So that'll be one to keep an eye on. There's an opportunity for Amad Diallo to put the ball into the box from the left-hand side, about 35 yards out. Steps forward and swings it in, and the first header away is Egyptian, and then it will allow Ashore just to bring it up the pitch. Good step over to try and get past his man, but then ends up losing out, does too much, and Ivory Coast win the ball back in the Egyptian half. Neat triangles between the players in white, and everything's just slowed down slightly. Kessie, who, unlike him, has given the ball away quite a few times, goes to the left-hand side and finds Conan. A couple of step-overs, comes in field and gives it back to his captain. It's now back on halfway with Kasono, who finds Doué. Doué towards Ahmad, but it's been cut out by the Egyptian defence. So Egypt back in possession, 10 minutes gone here, and it's the 7-time champions that are 1-0 up against the reigning champions in the 4th quarter-final of the African Cup of Nations. Egypt's on the right hand side with Hane. Back to Ataya, clips out the line. There's a good touch from Ashore, then plays a neat triangle back into Hane, and Egypt's are away again here. Salah's ball through towards Marmoush, and Marmoush goes down. The referee blows his whistle, but does raise his hand into the air because there is an offside. Marmoush just went slightly too early. But the Salah and Marmoush link-up is looking pretty strong in these opening 10 minutes already. So the free kick after the offside will be in line with the penalty area for the Ivory Coast, and keeper Fofana just knocks it out to Kasono next to him, who then gives it back, and the Ivory Coast decides to come to the left this time. Ole clips the ball forward up towards Diamant to chase, but it's going to be knocked out of play by Abdel Magid, and that'll be a throw-in midway inside the Egyptian half for the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast just choose to keep possession by throwing it back, and then Diamande knocks it into Sangare. Sangare spreads it right to Doué, and he then finds Ahmad, who steps inside. Plenty of players around him once more. The danger man for the Ivory Coast. He does well to wiggle a bit of space, but then runs out of room with a short. Then trying to ballot across, he nutmegs Diamond across to this right-hand side and keeps possession. He then decides to switch it all the way back over to El Fatau in that left-back role. Good play from the midfielder, who's already got an assist to his name in this game. Ball into Marmouche, who spins away from Casono over to the left-hand side. Can't go past Doué, but does win himself a throw-in on the left-hand side. El Fatau, who came on at midway through the last match to replace Hamdi, who hasn't recovered from that injury, so starts this evening, takes the throw, and we're back in the heart of the Egyptian defence with Abdel Mageed, who goes right to Ibrahim, triangles up towards Salah. Salah switches it back and then releases Hani on this right hand side, who's going to run towards the box. Gets in on the right hand side, his cross is a poor one, and Sangare can just knock that out to Christ Alai, who will run away on this left hand side, the youngster who plays his football in Turkey. His crossfield ball has been cut out and it's just going to roll out of play. El Fatau was alive to the switch but couldn't keep his own header in. That would have been a big miss for the Ivory Coast there. Already 1-0 down after a little bit of a mistake in midfield, allowing Mamouche to get free. So Conan in the left full-back area clips the ball up towards Gessan, but being knocked out for a throw-in right in front of MSFA, the Ivory Coast coach. She came into the role midway through the 2023 African Cup of Nations, which he ended up winning in that bizarre tournament where the Ivory Coast sacked their manager after the group phase. Only limped through the group stages, really. I think they got through as the fourth of the best third place teams and then ended up going on to win it. It just shows you anything can happen in tournament football. And they'll be looking to get themselves back into this game to try and keep their hopes of retaining the trophy alive. Doué on the right hand side chops in and finds Sangare, and the Ivory Coast will work it over to the left hand side, and Conan, the left back, comes over the halfway line. Yandi Amande slips but manages to get himself back on the ball. It's with Sangare in the centre circle. He sends it long towards Gessan, who can't win his header. Abdel Mageed does well, and then Gessan fouls Ibrahim, trying to win the second ball. So that'll be a free kick to Egypt in the D outside their penalty area. So if you're just joining us, it is Egypt that took the lead inside the 3rd minute. Omar Mamouche with a lovely finish when he ended up being through one-on-one with Fofana. Excellent work in the Egyptian midfield from Fatih, who won the ball off of Kessie and slid it into Ashur. And Ashur, who didn't start the last game, has already deserved his start as he threaded a lovely ball through to Marmouche for him to score. It was a great start to this game. 16 minutes gone, that goal is still the difference. Diamande on the left hand side trades passes with Conan. Conan tries to go round the outside of Hani, but it's a brilliant sliding tackle from the Egyptian fullback. Still a throw to the Ivory Coast after Ibrahim knocks it out of play once more. Different change of direction for the Ivory Coast here as they throw it back into midfield. Sangare into Diamand, finds Kone on the left hand side. He flicks it forward and Yan Diamand will get it on the edge of the box, and he pulls it back into the midfield into space, and Amad Diallo's shot is blocked, still bouncing around in there, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick. Kessie snatched the left footed shot after that. That really opened up for Amad Diallo, There's a slip from Yasser Ibrahim that allowed Diomande to get free, pulled it back to the penalty spot. And there's an excellent block in there from Rabia, who punches the sky in delight, almost celebrates that as much as the Mamouche celebrated his goal. Diallo gives the thumbs up. Scored 3 goals already in this tournament, Amad Diallo, in each of his 3 starts. And he'll be hungry for more to try and get his side back into this game. Rabia finds Ataya in midfield and Egypt work it from left to right. And it's clipped long by Abdelmagui, but that will go all the way through to Ndika. Just picks up the ball and sends it into Sangare. Sangare, the central of that 3 in midfield. Doué on the right hand side, just inside his own half, knocks it back again to Casono, and they'll work it from right to left. Ivory Coast happy to just be patient and keep the ball. Olay finds Conan and then Diomande on the left hand side. Diomande breaks through 3 players and then plays it into Kessie. Kessie again loses out in midfield and Egypt will come away. Ashore flicks it, but Olay was wise to it. And the youngster brings it away. Kessie still on the floor now, gets up, hobbling around, but his side still in possession. Doué on the right hand side comes forward, finds Diallo wide out to the right, and his ball in's a deep one, and that's going to be headed behind for a corner. There's a bit of a poor cross in the end from Diallo, headed behind by Ibrahim, and Diomande takes it short to Olay on the corner of the box, but that's blocked by Salah, and Egypt would try and bring it away, but the loose ball is picked up by Diallo. He then sends it back to his keeper, who's all the way out of his box, midway inside his half, and Ivory Coast will come forward once more. Doué on the right hand side, yellow boots dazzling under the floodlights, turns around and can't get past the Egyptian roadblock, so Ivory Coast work it from right to left. Conan flicks it forward towards Diomande, whose touch is heavy, and Egypt will come away. Hane on the halfway line, clips it into space. It's a nice touch from Mamouche, who then spins away from Sangare, and he's fouled midway inside the Ivory Coast half. Sangare won't get away with too many more tackles like that. Both Premier League players there. Mamouche had got away from him and Sangare fouled him from behind. So free kick for Egypt. Good 50 yards from goal, but slightly over to this right hand side. So both Salah and Mamouche are over there looking to deliver, and it's going to be Mamouche who sends it in towards the box, and the first header's from Abdelmagui, and it's going to go over the bar, but Fofana, the keeper, came out and basically ended up in no man's land, and the Egyptian defender managed to get his head to the ball first, and luckily for Yahia Fofana, he could watch it sail over the bar. And that would have been a really sloppy goal to concede. Coming into this game, Fofana did have an 86% save rate. Hasn't made one yet, and came flapping at that one. Sangare under pressure does well to spin and find Diomande in the centre circle, but he's then lost the ball. Forward comes Mamouche, who then finds Salah, who's the most advanced, just outside the Ivory Coast half. Sangare is going to battle away and does really well to take it off the Liverpool striker. And the Ivory Coast will come away. Ine Olay spins it out to the right hand side, where Doué takes a nice touch on the halfway line. Doué comes forward into the centre circle. Nice pass to Olay, then releases the exciting Diomande on this left hand side. He gets level with the edge of the area. Couple of step overs and goes on the outside, whips the ball in left footed towards Diallo, but it's cleared away only as far as Alai once more, who scoops a ball into the box. Abdelmageed heads it away, and Diomande hits on the volley, and it's a great block in there again by Abdelmageed. Ivory Coast still in possession. Over on the right hand side with Doué, just outside the box. He clips a left-footed ball in towards Guessand, who gets his header towards goal. It's going to go a couple of yards wide in the end of the left-hand post. Abdelmageed, who nearly scored at one end, has now put in a really good block from a great strike on the volley from Yan Diomande. Plenty of support for both sides here for this massive quarter-final. It's a great atmosphere. It's 23 minutes gone. Egypt 1, Ivory Coast 0. Long ball from El Shenawi is won by Fatih on halfway, and he gives it to El Fatah, tries to return it to him up the line, and it will be a throw-in for the Egyptians bang on halfway. Throwing into midfield, and this time it's Ashur who's had his pocket picked, and the Ivory Coast will come away on this left-hand side, and Diomande up to his trickiness once more, but he's crowded out by 3 or 4 players. Ashur has it on the right side and then wins a throw-in. Yan Diomande, any opportunity, he's looking just to get the ball down and run on this left-hand side. Dangerous player, only 19 and playing for RB Leipzig. Only signed a professional contract about a year ago, I believe. It's a bit of a wonder kid coming through. Already 6 Bundesliga goals in his first season with Leipzig. Here's Alai on this left-hand side. He spins it out to Doué on the right. Doué comes forward and chooses to go on the outside and finds Diallo. Ahmad gives it back to him, and Ivory Coast with some lovely footwork. Doué tries to find a ball in, but it's blocked. Good tricky work from Gaël Doué. He's playing his football in Strasbourg, so he will return from AFCON to a new manager after Liam Rossini ended up at Chelsea. Gary O'Neill, I believe, is the new Strasbourg manager for him to meet Doué when he comes back. And there's a ball in, it's a touch from Guessand, it will just break away, and Egypt will try and come clear on this right hand side. Conan does well to get across there ahead of Ataya, and the Ivory Coast will keep possession. Of course, Doué on that right hand side has Amad Diallo ahead of him, who will also be returning to a new manager for his club after Manchester United sacked Ruben Amorim a couple of weeks ago. And Diallo gives it back to Doué on the right hand side. He gets towards the byline, whips the ball in. It's dangerous but too high for Guessand, and Egypt can't keep possession. It will come back again. It's Alai on the left hand side, finds Diomande, who's wriggling past his man and will break down towards the byline, and it's Hani who goes flying in for a tackle and does really well to knock it off of Diomande, and that'll be a goal kick to the side, who are 1-0 up. So Egypt, as previously mentioned, 7 times winners of this competition, won it 3 times in a row in 2006, 8 and then 2010, but haven't won it since. And when you've got a player of the calibre of Mo Salah in your side, seems strange that he hasn't won this competition with his country. And at the age of 33, you've got to wonder how many AFCONs there are left for the Liverpool man. So he'll be desperate for his side to cling on to this result so far. But long way to go here, 27 minutes gone. Doué on the halfway line, clips it forward for the Ivory Coast, but really good midfield work from Fati and Ateo. Release Ashore forward over the halfway line. Plenty of white shirts surrounding him, and they do really well to scramble it away in the end. Diallo sends it over to the left hand side where Conan will bring it up to halfway. Finds Alai, who then gives it back to him, and good work from Ashore to force the Ivory Coast backwards. But they do keep possession. Alai into Diamande on the left hand side. He'll play a 1-2 with Alai, tries to flick it with his back heel up the line, but with his side a throw in. Conan chooses to just throw that back to Evan and Deku, finds Sangare. Sangare finds Alai, who's really happy to pick the ball up in midfield all the time. The young man, another 19-year-old on this left-hand side. Really good football technician. Happy to take on his man and pick a pass when he can. Diamande tries to wriggle away from Ibrahim, but wins a throw in on the left-hand side, just in front of the Egyptian dugouts. And once more, the Ivory Coast throw it back to halfway, where Sangare picks it up and plays a direct ball towards Gessan, and it's half cleared by Egypt, and Ivory Coast was scrapped for the second, and they win their side. A free kick after there's a handball by left back Al Fatah. An opportunity for the Ivory Coast to put the ball into the box. So the Ivory Coast sending plenty of players forward. So you see the flick on from Kessie did strike the right arm of Ahmed El Fatah. So Diallo's walked away from this free kick, so it'll be Yan Diamande to take it over on the right hand side. So it'll be right foot and out swinger. Does come in towards the back post, headed down by Gessan. It's on target, but no real power on it. And El Shenawi just falls on top of it. El Shenawi in that light purple goalkeeper kit sends it forward, but once more the Ivory Coast will get possession back inside the Egyptian half, and Kone spins it into Cassano, who's in the centre circle. He finds Doué on the right hand side. Doué just waits and then rolls the ball to Kesse, who sends it back over to the left hand side this time with Conan. Conan steps forward halfway inside the Egyptian half. He's got no one ahead of him. Thought he won his side of throw in, but he looks disappointed that it's gone the way of the team in red. So half an hour gone here. Still that third minute. Omar Mamouche goal the difference in the fourth of the quarterfinals here in the African Cup of Nations. Hane gets the ball back from the throw-in and then thumps it long for Mamouche to chase, and he's put his Doué under pressure and he can only head it behind for a corner. So on this near side, Egypt will have the opportunity to put the ball into the box. First real bit of territory the Egyptians have had for a while. So it'll be a Mo Salah corner on this left hand side, the Egyptian captain. So being an in-swinger. Raises his right arm, steps forward, swings it in towards the 6-yard box. The first contact is an Egyptian one, and it's turned in. Rabia scores. It's 2-0 to the Egyptians, and out of nowhere they find a second goal. Had barely any possession. Won themselves a corner off a long ball, and the Ivory Coast haven't been able to defend it. Left-footed in-swinger. And it's Rabia towards the back post, nods it back across the keeper from where it's come from, and it loops into the side netting on the left-hand side. And it's Rami Rabia's first goal of the competition, and it's a massive one as Egypt double their lead here in Agadir. And has that put one foot into the semi-finals on Wednesday? They've been defending well and they've taken their chances. Only really had 2 real attempts on goal and they've converted both. And the 7-time champions lead 2-0, very much against the run of play, that second goal. But Rabia's header, very similar to the Ibrahim header in extra time against Benin. In the 32nd minute, Egypt find themselves 2 goals to the good. Forward come Ivory Coast, and Diallo's pass is cut out by Ashur. Ashur will switch it back over to the left, where Mamouche then finds El Fatau coming over the halfway line. No one really ahead of him. So he nutmegs Doué, but goes to ground, is told to get up from our Algerian official. Ivory Coast come forward again, and they're going to be desperate to try and pull one of these goals back before half time. Seen plenty of possession in this game. Find themselves 2 goals behind to the reigning champions. Doué on the halfway line, the man who gave away that corner when he didn't really need to. Sangare does well to step in and win the ball back, but Egypt can smuggle it clear again, but will only find Casono on halfway. Egypt not really endeavouring to press and just sit back in their shape. Alai finds Diallo on the right hand side, twists to the right, then comes in field, brings the ball across and finds Sangare into Olai, who's come off this left hand side and does really well to spin away from his man and drives towards the box, takes one too many touches, goes to ground and is told to get up from the official, and Egypt would try and come away. Salah on the halfway line, goes past his man and then will carry on running down this right hand side. Not really many people with him, so he knocks it off of left back Kone and wins his side a throw, using all his experience there, Mohamed Salah. Hossam Hassan, the Egyptian coach, really animated on the sidelines. Throw-in's taken short to Salah, who spins in field, spreads it out wide towards El Fatau. Nice touch. He then turns it towards goal and it's swung away only as far as the shore. He volleys it back towards goal, but that will go out of play. No harm to the Ivory Coast goal there. The Ivory Coast defence look a little bit shell-shocked with what's happened here. Just unable to deal with that set piece. A very simple goal for the seconds. Forward come the Ivory Coast on the right hand side. Doué steps in field, drifts towards the centre circle, then plays it into Guessand, who does take it down and then finds Diallo running off him. Diallo running towards the edge of the box, plays it left to Conant, the fullback. He steps inside, plays it back to Diallo, who's going to try and find a bit of space to get a shot away. He can't, so goes over to the right hand side, where Doué then sends a ball in. It's flicked away by Ibrahim. Conan keeps it in just down by the corner flag, finds Diomande. Diomande will just jink towards the box. He's got a couple of players in front of him, so turns around and finds Olay and supports. Sangare now works it from left to right out to Doué. Doué cuts in on his left foot and stands the ball up towards the back post, and that's going to flow over absolutely everyone. He raises his hand to apologise, and that will be a goal kick to the Egyptians. Ivory Coast, of course, have found themselves 2-0 behind in this tournament already on match day 3. They were 2 goals down to Gabon, pretty much already through in the group stage. They did field a very much different side, and they managed to turn that around with a last minute winner, which then meant that they topped the group. In that group with Cameroon, didn't lead the group at all in that last game week until that last minute winner. So they know they can do it. There's plenty of red shirts now just sat in a bank of 5 and a bank of 4 with Salah just up on his own when they don't have possession. It's going to be a tricky evening here for the Ivory Coast to get back into this game. Forward comes Ndiko, then finds Guessand, who's allowed just to bring the ball down and knocks it back to Alay in midfield. He spins it to the right where Doué finds Diallo. Ivory Coast still in possession. Ndiko on the halfway line, spreads it left to Conan. Conan finds Diamande, who knocks it inside to Conan again and takes out a couple of players with that pass. Back out to Diamande right on the touchline. Cuts in on his right foot and then goes around the outside on the left. A couple of players to try and tackle him, and there's a foul from Ashur right down by the corner flag. It's a free kick to the Ivory Coast. Frank Kessie's come over to have a conversation with the Algerian official. They feel that Ashur has led with his elbow there, but it's a bit of a forceful push with his shoulder, but into Yan Diamande's back. So clear foul being given. So whilst we're waiting for the kick to be taken, it's Mohamed Hane is down. Doesn't need any treatment just yet. He's just got back to his feet. The right-sided defender for Egypt. And we're now back up to the full allocation so that this free kick can be taken. So it will be Diamande once more on this left-hand side to deliver it right-footed. So it'll be an in-swinger. It's pretty much in the same position as a corner will be taken from, a couple of yards further forward. So we still wait for the whistle from the Algerian official. Feel that we're ready to go now, and yes, the whistle comes, and Diamande steps and swings it in towards the near post. It's flicked in. It's a goal. Ivory Coast have got one back, and it looks like it could be an own goal from Fatau on the line. But the initial header looked like it could have been from Diallo and was going in. But the Ivory Coast have a goal back before half-time. It's from their own set piece. Diamande swung it into the near post, and it was flicked on. There's a sea of bodies in there. It might have been Guessand who turned it towards goal in the end. Or Casono got the last touch. And Sangare was ready to turn it in on the line, but El Fatau did it for him. So it's an own goal from the Egyptian left back. And this quarter-final just gets better. So great delivery from Yan Diamande. 40 minutes gone then, and we've had 3 goals. Egypt 2, the Ivory Coast 1. You have to say the Ivory Coast definitely deserve something from this half. Bit of a sloppy play in midfield to gift the first goal to Egypt, and then again a sloppy header from right back Doué that ended up giving a corner away, which Egypt then scored their second from. But they're back in it, are the reigning champions. As I said, they've come from behind already, from 2 goals down against Gabon in the group stage. What a game we've got here on Flash Golf. So free kick to Egypt given on the left-hand side. Kessie's tackle from behind has been given against El Fatau. He's just scored that unfortunate own goal, but nothing he could really do. There's like 2 or 3 Ivory Coast players got across the near post. It was a great ball in. It ended up being Atalanta's Odilon Casono got there first and flicked it towards goal. Was on target, but looks like he's gone down as an own goal at the moment for El Fatau. Now, another set piece here for Mamouche to swing in towards the near post, and that's travelled a long way, but cleared away by Doué. Only as far as Salah, who gives it back to Mamouche on the left-hand side, cuts him on his right foot and delivers a ball, but it's well claimed by Yahia Fofana. He then sprints to the edge of the box, but then chooses just to roll the ball out to Casono. Forward come the Ivory Coast on the left side of defence. Ndika chooses just to turn around and give it to Sangare in the centre of midfield. He's under pressure from ashore, so he goes back to his centre back. And Ndika works it to the left hand side for Conan. Conan flips it up the line for Diomande to chase. He gets there, and with a couple of changes of direction, takes on Ibrahim in the defence, gets to the edge of the box and puts his cross in, and it will deflect away for a corner. Pretty much on the side where the Ivory Coast just scored from. 43 minutes gone. Egypt 2, Ivory Coast 1. Has been an absolute cracker so far. This time it'll be Diallo to take the corner, so it'll be an outswinger from this left hand side. Referee just asking Abdelmajid and Ghessan to stop with the shirt pulling before this corner can be taken. Diallo stands there with both arms raised, steps forward and then swings the ball in towards the back post. It's headed up in the air and that'll be punched away at the second attempt by El Shenawi and finds Salah, who plays into Mamouche, who's going to run over the halfway line, sprinting towards the box, and he goes down under a tackle but nothing given, and the Ivory Coast will come away with it. Strong sliding tackle in there, and the referee was up with play and said no foul. Mamouche gets to his feet with a bit of a wry smile. I think he knows. And there was no foul there. Doué on right hand side finds Ndika in the heart of the defence. He spreads it left to Conan on halfway. Conan finds Diallo, who's come over to this left hand side at the moment. Diallo runs towards the box, tries to get the 1-2 back from Conan, but Egypt read it and then they'll come away with the ball. Ataya spreads it left to El Fatau. El Fatau takes it forward up towards the halfway line, but just holds on to it and then finds Mamouche just outside the centre circle. Mamouche spreads it back to El Fatau as we await how many minutes of additional time we're going to have as the clock ticks over to 45. Haven't seen anything from the fourth official so far. Egypt's happy just to try and keep the ball at the back and get themselves through to half time. Abdelmajid on the right hand side of the defence comes forward, a couple of steps, spreads it into Salah. Salah's touch is heavy, Sangare steals it away from him. He's now back with Fofana. It's 2 minutes eventually, we find out from the fourth official. We've already had 45 seconds. Doué comes onto the halfway line. Is there one last opportunity for Ivory Coast to have an attempt on the Egyptian goal? Sangare just outside the centre circle finds Conan on this left hand side. Trades passes with Alai, who has to turn back to Ndika, who then gives it to Sangare, who's still in the centre circle. Diomande picks it up and will sprint towards the edge of the box, but tackled by Ashore, who then goes down under Diamande's tackle. And that would probably be the last play of the half, as we're on 46.5 minutes into that 2 additional minutes here. So Egypt taking their time over this kick, and it will be Ibrahim who shapes up to go long, but then in fact just dummies it and plays it into Ataya in midfield. And Egypt will pass it around the back, just trying to get through to half time. Ball up to Marmouche on halfway, who then does lose out. And the Ivory Coast can come forward here. And it's Casono finds Diamond on the left-hand side, gets into the box. He's got 3 players around him, spins back towards Alay, and he's forced away from the box. But Ivory Coast keep possession. The 2 minutes are up, but we still play on. Diamande spins and tries to find Alay, who goes back to Kessie. Kessie sends the ball into the box, headed down by Guessand, and Egypt can bring it away, and therefore that then gives our Algerian official the chance to blow the whistle for half-time and for everyone to get their breath back. It's been a fantastic half of knockout football here in the quarter-finals, the African Nations Cup. The goal scoring started in the 3rd minute. Omar Mamouche put through one-on-one after a pass from Ashur. He broke into the box on the left-hand side, chopped back onto his right foot and slid it under Fofana for a really simple finish to get the goal scoring underway. The next one came after the half hour. A corner given away by Doué when he had enough time just to try and nod the ball back to his keeper. But in the mistake, led to a corner. And there was a ball in from Salah to the back post, and Rabia rose highest to nod it back from where it came from into the side netting on the left-hand side. And that put the Egyptians 2-0 up, despite the Ivory Coast having the majority of possession. It took the Ivory Coast about 7 minutes to get back into the game. Jan Diamande, the youngster from Leipzig, put in a really good ball from the left-hand side, a right-footed in-swinger, and centre-back Casono got in front of the near post, flicked it towards goal, and it was an unfortunate own goal for El Fatah, the left-back, playing today in place of the injured Hamdi. But he can only chest the ball into the back of the net to make it 2-1. It's been a fantastic game here, the first 45 minutes. I'm sure the second half will be as equally gripping here on Flash Score. So, half-time here, Egypt 2, Ivory Coast 1. Join us in about 15 minutes' time for the second half to find out who will be through to the semi-finals. And Rabia with the header before Ivory Coast hit back, forcing El Fatah, the Egyptian left back, to turn it into his own net after a brilliant cross from Yan Diomande. But we're back underway with Egypt shooting from right to left, and ball forward from Ataya in towards Marmoush is too long, and that will roll through for Doué to knock back to Fofana. All in light blue this evening, the Ivory Coast keeper, and he finds the chest of Guessand, who brings it down but can only give the ball back to Egypt. So it's Marmoush on this left hand side, gets a strong tackle from Doué, but referee says play on. The Ivory Coast will have it with Conan on the left hand side. Conan comes over halfway, finds Diomande, who plays it back to Sangare. We've come to a bit of a standstill here, and Sangare knocks it out of play for a throw-in because Doué has stayed down after that. Bit of a push and a shove between him and Marmoush. Nothing really seems to be in it, but Gabriel Doué, the right back, has stayed down holding his left shoulder. So that will mean that Armel Zahouri has just gone out to warm up just in case for the Ivory Coast. Doesn't look like he did anything in the tackle, as when Doué trying to just palm off Marmoush after, feeling his shoulder, but I think he'll be okay. So we're back underway, and Egypt throw the ball to Salah, who then kicks it back to Yahya Fofana in the goal, and Doué comes back onto the pitch. So full allocation of players back underway. Fofana just knocks the ball out of his area and then sends it long towards Guessand again, but his header's a good one. It finds Kessie, who finds Diallo on the right hand side. His pass back to Doué's a bit behind him, so he stalls the progress, and the Ivory Coast keep possession. They'll work it from right to left, and Dika finds Inal Olai. He'll spin and run towards the goal and gets a nice flick from Diomande, but well cut out by the Egyptian defence, who thump it long, and that will stay in play and be difficult to deal with for the Ivory Coast. And Fofana has to come all the way out to the corner flag to clear it away up towards halfway, and Egypt try to return it but can't keep possession. It's Kone on the left hand side. Kone's opposite left back this evening, El Fatah, scoring that own goal. Conan was credited with an own goal in the matchday 2 against Cameroon. Tad unfortunate in my eyes. It was a long shot that deflected off him and was given as an own goal. And that is both left backs today that have now seen an own goal in this competition. The Ivory Coast in possession on halfway, and it's with Olai, who plays it out to Conan inside to Diomande, who's forced back to Sangare. Sangare comes over to Kasono, who then works it to Doué on the right hand side, spins out and finds Diallo. Diallo, 4 players around him, forced to go back into Kessie, who finds Sangare. Sangare inside the centre circle, looks up and plays a long ball out left towards Diomande. It takes a couple of bounces, and the Leipzig winger can't keep it in. So that will be a throw into Egypt, level with the edge of their own area in the right back position. Harney throws it into Ataya, who knocks it back to the thrower, but his long ball is going to end up in possession with the Ivory Coast once more. Doué inside the centre circle, just spins back towards Kasono, who gives it into Doué again, who threads the ball forward to Guessand, who first time knocks it into the path of Kessie, but well defended by Fatih and Ataya, and Egypt will come away. Marmoush, midway inside the half, plays a ball in towards Salah, gets a bit of a late nudge again from Doué, but nothing given, and it'll be a throw into Egypt on the left hand side. 5 minutes of this second half have gone 2-1 to Egypt. Here's Fati, midway inside the Ivory Coast half, tries to spin that out to the right hand side, and it's a poor ball. It's behind Hani, and that'll be a throw into Ivory Coast. The reigning champions playing all in white this evening. Egypt in their traditional red shirts, black shorts. Sangare has seen a lot of ball for the Ivory Coast in midfield. Plays a long ball out towards Diallo, who can bring it down on his chest and wins a throw in off the second goal scorer, Rami Rabia. Throw in taken quickly, but the Ivory Coast forced back into the centre circle, and Kessie goes over to the left hand side and finds Conan. Conan will come forward and is allowed to run, plenty of space ahead of him. Uses Diamande on the touchline. He then finds Alai in the middle. Patient build up from the Ivory Coast, and the ball out from Conan towards Diamande is won back by Salah, who then wins a free kick in his own half. The Egyptian captain, Frank Kessie, his opposition captain, being a bit too forceful with his arms. So the Algerian referee gives it a free kick to Salah. Ball forward from Rabia, finds Ashur and plenty of space on the left hand side. Stabs the ball across towards the box and it's in. Mohamed Salah gets his goal. It's 3-1 to Egypt. It's a classic breakaway goal. And the Egyptian bench sprint down towards the corner flag in delight. It's a great ball that played Ashur free on the left hand side, and he slid a ball across the box with the outside of his right foot. It was weighted to perfection, and a man of the class of Mohamed Salah does not miss from there. It was put on a plate for him, and he slid it past Yahya Fofana, and Egypt find themselves 3-1 up here. Brilliant finish with his left foot. Salah just poked it into the opposite corner. Managed to get the wrong side of Conan. But the assist from Ashur, his second of the evening, is absolutely delightful. And Salah could not miss from there. What a breakaway goal from the Egyptians. He said they've really lacked goal scoring endeavour throughout the group stage and needed extra time to beat Benin, but they have been absolutely clinical in front of goal in the first 52 minutes. 3 real chances and 3 goals, and the reigning champions are shocked. Brilliant breakaway play. Ivory Coast, how can they respond as they fight for the ball in midfield? There's a strong tackle in there from Kessie. The men in white still look up for this. Doué sends it forward, and then there's a player down from Egypt who appears to be absolutely rag-rolled by Evan Gassand. It's Abdel Magid who's down holding his face. Both players, Gassand threw him to the floor. A very strong man. The man who's playing his football in the Premier League for Aston Villa. Evan Gassand, he's struggled to get into the game, really. Was originally in the French setup as a youth player, has French under-19 caps. Hasn't managed a Premier League goal since moving to Aston Villa just yet, but has got a couple of goals in the Europa League for them since moving from Nice. He won't know it yet, but his side have just knocked Tottenham out of the FA Cup. So he will have a 4th round tie to come back to. Forward come the Ivory Coast. 3-1 down here. Doué in the centre circle. Plays it out to Diallo on the right hand side. Diallo, plenty of those red shirts back behind the ball, so just scuttles across the pitch, finds Sangare. Sangare finds Alai, who's very central. Plays it to Doué on the right hand side. Doué will twist and turn and try and go on the outside of Fatau and tries to put a delivery into the box, but it's blocked away by the left back, and there will be a throw in for the Ivory Coast. Level with the edge of the area. Doué takes it but throws it back to Casono. The Ivory Coast will work from right to left, and Dika finds Conan. Conan back out to Yan Diomande. Twisting and turning from the young winger. Tries to give the ball to Conan, but they'll go out of play, and Egypt will win themselves a throw-in on the right-hand side. Ball in to the heart of the Egyptian defence, and it's Rabia. Shifts the ball out of his right foot and then finds Ataya high on the right-hand side, who then gives it to Marmoush, but Marmoush can win it off of Diallo, and he'll beat a couple of men and drive forward, but his pass towards the shore is cut out. That front three of Egypt have been really tricky to keep hold of on the counter-attack. Goal for Salah and Marmoush, both set up by Emam Ashur, who's playing in that number 10 role this evening. And with 56 minutes gone, Egypt still 3-1 in the lead. Quarter-finals of the African Cup of Nations, and Egypt win the ball back on halfway. Loose pass from Doué finds El Fatau on the left-hand side. He knocks it off of the Ivory Coast right back, and that will be a throw-in on the left-hand side. Ball won back by Kessie, who finds a lie in the Ivory Coast midfield. He'll twist and turn and play it out to Doué on the right hand side. Inside to Diallo. Plays it to Kessie on the edge of the box and then retrieves it back. Shifts it out left to Conan, who finds Diomande. Steps it back onto his right foot and delivers it in, but it's headed away by Ibrahim. The Ivory Coast will keep possession. Conan finds Diomande, who's going to go on the outside of Hani and will beat him for pace and will drive towards the byline. Gets to the edge and plays it in, but he's overrun it, and that'll be a goal kick. He looks incredibly exciting when he can get on the ball. Yan Diomande. His final ball was not able to be delivered as he just overrun it off the pitch. Frank Kessie, the captain, really trying to rally his troops from midfield. Ivory Coast have seen a lot of possession. Find themselves 3-1 down as we approach the hour in this fourth quarter-final this evening. The winners will face Senegal on Wednesday in Tanger. Doué's pass is cut out by Mamouche, and Egypt will have possession. Rabia clips it forward and finds Salah, who wins himself a free kick in the centre circle. Lovely touch from Salah just to kill that pass into his left foot. And it was Ndika who dragged him down. Ataya will take the free kick. The man who scored the opener against Benin. Incredible strike from Ataya. Lovely ball, and forward comes Hani on the right hand side. He gets to the edge of the box and his shot is saved out into the feet of Marmoush, who then knocks it back into the keeper, and that will be a corner for Egypt. Fofana, his real first save he's had to make, and it's only parried out. Marmoush reacted quickest but couldn't quite get to the goal scoring opportunity. Will be a corner on the far side. Fofana, not a lot he could have done about the goals, but on the hour makes his first save of the match after already picking the ball out of the net 3 times. Ball in from Salah and it's headed away Marmoush can't retain it. There's a strike from distance that goes into a group of bodies, and the Ivory Coast can lash it clear. And Diallo will chase it up over halfway, but well dealt with by Harney on the right hand side, who just sends it back to El Shenawi in purple this evening. He takes his time and waits for Gessan to come and close him down, and then picks the ball up, and he will then send it long. A classic lesson from Egypt in counter-attacking football so far this evening. On the hour, it's the 7-time champions that lead the reigning champions 3-1. Ball in midfield. There's an Egyptian player down, writhing around in pain, but still we go on as the ball comes forward to Gessan. It's headed up in the air. Second ball is won by Rabiot, then thumps it into the dugouts. It's Omar Mamouche who's down and is rolling around in pain. Fatih's having words with Christ alive, who's just seen the replay, and Mamouche walks past in our light, and it looks like the young Ivory Coast midfielder does have a little kick out at Mamouche, and I wonder whether VAR are going to get involved here. It's a silly little kick, nothing too malicious in it. I think if the referee had seen it, he probably would have called for a yellow card. Didn't look to have too much intent in it, but I think Mamouche has made the most of it. And the referee is just having a word with Alai. Mo Salah has a bit of a wry smile on his face and a laugh. I think they're hoping for a red card for the young midfielder, but it looks like common sense is going to prevail here. It would have been very silly for the young midfielder. Only 19, playing his football in Turkey with Trabzonspor. Has already missed a game through having too many yellow cards. But we're back on. Nothing given there in the end, and it is the man Olai who spreads it out right to Doué. Doué's yellow boots send it forward to Gessan, who goes down under the tackle of Rabiot, but nothing given. But they win it back through Diallo. Diallo finds Olai, who will go through 2 or 3 players, and he's then crowded out. And Ataya tries to spin it right for Salah to chase, but far too much on that ball, and it'll roll through to Yahia Fofana, the keeper. Ball forward, sent out wide by Kessie towards Conan. Does well to keep it in, level with the edge of the area. Plays it back to Diomande. Diomande finds Sangare. Plays it across to Olai, who's going to shoot from distance. It takes a deflection. That will be a corner. It was Emma Mashur who closed him down in the end. So 64 minutes gone. It's a set piece for the Ivory Coast. Corner on this near side. Diallo will send in an in-swinger. Puts it towards the 6-yard box. Headed away, but only as far as Diamande, who looked like he was going to strike it and then took a touch. Plays it out to Kessie, who pokes it towards goal, and that will go over the bar. And it looked like it just sat up for Diamande to strike it towards goal, and he took another touch instead. There was a crowd of bodies ahead of him, and Kessie could turn it goalwards, but too high from the Ivory Coast captain. Short kick taken by Egypt, but the referee's going to ask for it to be retaken. The ball was moving, according to our Algerian official. So a few more minutes used up by Egypt. They go short again. It's Rabiot who flicks it out left to El Fatah, the unfortunate own goal scorer. Flicks it up the line to Marmouche, and Ashur goes down, and That's right in front of MS Faye, the Ivorian coach, and he is furious with the referee for giving that one. And Emmanuel Shaw will just lay on the floor holding his left ankle and will be looking to get some attention. The story of MS Faye is fantastic for the Ivory Coast. Was drafted in after the disastrous group stage in 2023. Ivory Coast losing matchday 3 4-0 to Equatorial Guinea, but managing to scrape through as they did pick up 3 points in the group. Went through as the 4th best third place nation and ended up getting MS Faye for the last 16 onwards, and he ended up strategically winning the competition. That win against Nigeria in the final, coming from 1-0 down to win 2-1. They've got a tall order if they're going to retain their trophy here. Egypt playing a pretty good counter-attacking match here, lead 3-1. 66 minutes gone, and it's Diallo on the right-hand side who's shepherded out of play by Rabia, but he will win a throw-in for the team in white, and it's into Inal Olay, who spreads it left to Conan. Conan will have space to run into, finds Diamande outside of him, but 4 Egyptian defenders over there to try and shield him away from goal. Goes back to Sangare, who works it over to the right hand side for Kasono. Kasono finds Doué. Doué looks to go central with the ball into Inaole, who with the outside of his right foot spreads it over to Conan on the left hand side. Conan looks to cross but then chooses to go outside him in the end. Back into Sangare. Ivory Coast having to work it across midfield. Olay finds Diallo level with the edge of the area on the right hand side. Doué outside of him if he wants to. Cuts back in and runs across and is crowded out by Ashur and Mamouche, and Egypt will come away, and it's Mamouche on the halfway line. Chops back and does really well to find Fatih, who spreads it out towards Salah on the right hand side. Salah brings it down on the edge of the area, creeps in towards the box and kicks it against Ndika, and that'll be a corner on the far side. Brilliant counter-attacking play from the Egyptians once more. They've really been set up to hit the Ivory Coast on the break, and it's been absolutely clinical so far. Hassan Hassan has lived every single kick of this game, up and down his technical area. Short kick taken by Salah to Fatih, then gets it back and swings it in towards the back post, but it's claimed by Fofana in the end. Thrown out and forward come the Ivory Coast, and it's a foul in there by potentially Abdelmajid. Yeah, it's Abdelmajid who's gone into the book, stopping the breakaway there for the Ivory Coast. Pretty cynical foul in the end. Clipping Inal, who was streaking towards the halfway line. So yellow card for Hossam Abdelmajid. Free kick inside the centre circle. Once we're ready to go, the referee's having a conversation with Evan Ndika, who gives it to Sangare, and we're back underway. 69 minutes gone. Doué on the halfway line just opens up his body and looks to go down the line, but chooses to cut back into Kasono instead. Ndika then sprays it towards the edge of the box. It's flicked on by Kessie and causes a bit of chaos, and Egypt can only slice it away. Throw into the Ivory Coast, level with the edge of the area on the right hand side. Crassau getting ready for the Ivory Coast, and we're going to see that substitution now. So it's Frank Kessie, the captain, coming off. He rips his armband off, sprints and gives it to Ibrahim Sangare, and he will come off, and on comes Crasso. Jean-Philippe Crasso playing his football for Paris FC in Liga. Ball in towards him straight away, but headed up in the air. And Mamouche can give it back to El Fatah, and Egypt will try and work it clear. Egypt win a throw in midway inside their half. Doué having to clear it out. See, the Ivory Coast do have Azuma Mame Traoré, who's got a couple of goals in this competition on the bench, but we're still yet to see him. Obviously the big name of Wilfred Zaha as well. But with 20 minutes to go, it's Jean-Philippe Crasso who's been trusted, and here is Crasso. He finds Sangare, who's now captain. Goes over to Doué on the right side. He's going to deliver a ball in. It's headed away. There'll be a throw in about 8 yards from the corner flag for the Ivory Coast. Ahmad takes it quickly into the yellow boots of Doué. Gets it out of his feet and whips the ball in. Headed away back to Doué, who just lets it bounce out behind him for another throw. So it's looking like a bit of a change of tact for the Ivory Coast. They've gone two up top. Guessand and Crasso. They're going to try and get this ball out wide and get the ball into the box if they can. Diomande on the left hand side stabs the ball into Alai. Now Sangare, about 35 yards from goal. Spins it right to Doué on the edge of the box. He sends it in first time. It's going to bounce off Rabia, and they'll be away for a corner, which Diallo sprints over to place the ball down inside the quadrant. Be a left-footed in swinger coming shortly. Diallo stands with his hands on hips as the referee once more goes into the box and is having a conversation with a couple of the players for over-aggressive pushing and shoving before the corner is taken. Waiting for the referee's whistle. 72 minutes gone. Diallo raises both arms, then steps forward and swings it in deep towards the back post. It is nodded down towards goal, and it's cleared in. It's then poked home by Doué. 3-2, and it's the right back who's flicked it towards goal. It looked like Sangare had turned it over the line, but as bodies on the line to clear it away for Egypt, and it's bounced up, and it's a very instinctive finish from Doué's, facing away from goal, and he's flicked it with the back of his heel. It was Crasso who's just come on who kept it alive. Sangare thought he had turned it in. It was a great save in the end, and then Doué with a great finish from 4 yards out, back heels it towards goal on the volley. And we are still alive here. The Ivory Coast have another one back. What a game we've got on our hands in Agadir. Egypt 3, Ivory Coast 2. 73 minutes gone. And the referee gets us back underway. So much drama in this competition. And we've still got 18 minutes plus additional time. Doué comes forward, just scored that goal and heads it away from the cross, and that'll be a throw in for the Ivory Coast, level with the edge of the area. Diallo takes it quickly and finds Doué, who plays it to Sangare, and Christ in our Alai will play it out to the left hand side. He finds Diomande. Diomande back into Alai. Egypt so deep now, and Sangare steps forward and then shoots from distance, and confidence running through the standing captain's veins, but he's sliced it well wide in the end. So Sangare has actually got 2 Premier League goals this season for Nottingham Forest, after scoring 0 in his previous 2 years at the club. So maybe that's why a little bit of confidence was flowing through his veins there. Did open up for him, but he'll be disappointed with the strike. We're getting some treatment for Mohamed El Shenawi, the Egyptian keeper. Did so well to claw that ball off the line from Sangare, but there's nothing he could do about the Doué finish. Back heel with the outside of his foot to turn it into the roof of the net. His first goal of the competition. And there is a sea of colour as always in the stands, and both sets of fans are absolutely loving this, but Shinawe still down in the 6-yard box. 37 years of age, the Egyptian keeper. One of 5 Egyptian players in the starting lineup who play for Al Ahly in Egypt. In fact, 8 of the 11 actually play their football in Egypt currently. Only Mamouche, Salah and Hamdi Fati, who plays for Al Wakra in Qatar, the non-Egyptian league footballers. So we're seeing the replay a little bit closer, and El Shenawi is claiming that he got kicked in the arm by Sangare as he poked it towards goal, and he might have a point. Not sure it was a foul, an intentional foul. Obviously it wasn't picked up by VAR to be a clear and obvious error, but we're ready to get back underway, and it's the Egyptian keeper in purple who sends it out long and left, and Marmouche does flick it on, and it's brought down by Salah. Salah plays it back to El Fatah, who swings up the line, and Mamouche will try and chest it down, but it rolls away from him, and that'll be a throw into the reigning champions. Doué's just got that second goal, throws it into Casono, and they'll work it across to the left-hand side, where Ndika picks it up in the heart of the defence. He plays it left to Kone. Kone just takes his time and creeps up towards the halfway line. Finds Sangare in support. Sangare in the centre circle. Looks to play it right and then changes his mind and comes over to the left-hand side. Still coming forward, finds Conan. Conan ball in towards Gessan, who can't get the header down, and Egypt will bring it away. Atay will send it long for Mamouche to battle with Doué. Mamouche does well to win the first contact, and Ashur will run forward, and then he runs out of room, and that'll be a throw into the Ivory Coast on the right side. Emma Ashur is furious with the referee, feeling he was fouled, but nothing given, and it's actually going to be the final play for Imam Ashur. It's had a massive impact on this quarter-final. Coming into the side this evening, 2 assists, 2 brilliant assists as well for the first and the third goal. Lovely passes, but he is replaced by Trezeguet. So Al Ahly player for Al Ahly player. Trezeguet, who left the field in the match against Benin with injury. He will be a straight swap. He'll go straight into that number 10 position in behind Salah Mamouche. Ball delivered into the box by Conan. It's poured away by El Shenawi, and it's picked up by Diallo, who then finds Doué on the right hand side. Diallo sends the ball back in with his left foot, headed away by Abdelmajid. Returned by Alai to Gessan, who manages to smuggle the ball out to the right for Diallo. Spins away from Trezeguet. Trezeguet back in for a second attempt, but Diallo can keep the ball and find Doué. He puts it back in towards Crasso first time, and he has his hands on his head because he just missed the header. Ball delivered back in this time, and Gessan flings it toward goal, and it's clawed away by El Shenawi, and then he picks it up at the second attempt. Gessan flicked it towards the back post. It was probably going wide in the end, but Gessan and Crasso, 2 players in there now to aim for. Physical specimens that they are. It's going to be a really intriguing last 10 minutes here, and just to add to the ranks, Bayo is going to come on for the Ivory Coast. He's going to replace Gessan. Bayo again will be looking to use his height in that front two now, with him and Crasso. Bayo playing his football in Serie A for Udinese. Forward come Ivory Coast on the right hand side. Do a level with the edge of the box. Will play in first time and finds Diallo. Diallo would twist and turn. It's poked behind by Fatty and be a corner again on this right hand side, as it has been the whole game. The Ivory Coast are seeing a lot more possession and looking very dangerous coming forward, but we know what's happened on that counter attack. 9 minutes plus added time remain. Once again the referee just stopping the corner from being taken, and there's conversations with Crasso, who's right in front of the keeper, El Shenawi, being marked by Abdel Magid. So referee seems happy and blows the whistle. Diallo once more swings the ball in towards the back post, punched away by El Shenawi, but can only flick off the man and go behind for another corner. El Shenawi gives his defenders in front of him a high five. In fact, it wasn't Shenawi who got there, it was Fatty who managed to head it away. So Diamande's gone over to this far side to take the corner this time. So another in-swinger, this time with the right foot. Plenty of players inside the 6-yard box. Once again the referee stops proceedings. It's been a big thing in the African Cup of Nations that the corners take absolutely forever at times. Referee almost stopping every corner and having a conversation with players before something happens. Marwan Ataya is down in the 6-yard box, claiming that he has been pushed by Guela Doué. The central midfielder now back on his feet. Ataya, that very unlikely goal scorer in the last game, and him and Doué still pushing and shoving in that 6-yard box. Ball gets delivered in towards goal. It's flicked towards goal, and that'll be behind for a goal kick. Ivory Coast convinced it came off of Fatty last, and they might have a point, but it's been given as a goal kick. Lifeline for Egypt there. Was another good ball in by Diamande. So taken short, and Rabia will slice it away, but find El Fatau. El Fatau on halfway clips it up the line for Trezeguet to chase, but Casono will step across and knock that back to his keeper. The battle of the number 7s there. Odelan Casono, the centre back for Ivory Coast, with another 7 on his back, and Trezeguet just coming on into that midfield for Egypt. Salah on the halfway line with a neat touch, and then gets brought down by Crasso. The Egyptian captain just slowly gets to his feet. He knows that his side are incredibly close to that semi-final. A date with Senegal on Wednesday in Tangier up for grabs. We've got 6 minutes plus additional time remaining. Egypt get us back underway, and Fatty returns it to Abdel Magid, who then finds Ibrahim. Plays out to the right hand side, but be smothered away, and Sangare will play it long for the head of Crasso, but headed away by Egypt, but only into midfield, which Eli will pick up. He finds Sangare, but before Sangare can take a touch, it's hooked forward by Trezeguet. No one there for Egypt though, and it will just be picked up by Ndika in the heart of the defence for the reigning champions. Ndika will creep forward towards halfway, finds Eli, who just spins it back to his captain now, Sangare. Sangare in the bright orange boots steps into midfield and finds Crasso, who's going to play it left to Diamande. Goes to ground, but no foul given, and he'll still fight away for it, but Egypt will come away with Salah just inside his own half. Salah runs over the halfway line and wins a throw-in off of Sangare, using all his experience there in big matches. Mo Salah didn't have any support with him, so the best he could do was win the throw-in, and he did that with ease. Hane comes forward and stolen away by the Ivory Coast, but Ali's going to lose it in midfield, and forward comes Marmouche. Steps past Sangare, but one too many, and Conan can bring it away for the Ivory Coast. On to halfway. It's getting really scrappy in midfield now as Fatih wins it back for the men in red. Salah finds Fatih once more. They just trade passes to kill some time. Salah back to his central defenders. Abdel McGee works it from right to left, and Rabia, the second goal scorer, finds El Fatah, who clips it up the line for Ataya. Tries to thread the ball through to Trezeguet, but Casono's wise to it, and Ivory Coast win it back. 86 minutes on the clock. Is there another twist in this quarter-final? Egypt have been in the lead since the 3rd minute. Ended up being 2-0 up and then 3-1 up. But they've now been pegged back to 3-2. Ivory Coast with a throw in on the right hand side. Amad Diallo, level with the edge of the area, has just been asked to retake it. Throws it back to Doué, who geniusly hooked that ball goalwards for Ivory Coast's second of the night. Conan on the left hand side, midway inside the Egyptian half, gets the ball back from Ali, but headed away to Salah, who then returns it to Hardy, who sends it long, but Hardy's ball is cut out by Doué. Doué and Mamouche will fight for it, but it's the right back that comes away with it. Doué creeps towards the edge of the box, but finds Ali and then spreads it left to Conan, whips the ball in towards Crasso, and it's headed towards goal. And it's El Shenawy just falls to his right hand side and claims the ball in both hands and lays flat on it. Gets a big pat on the back from Ibrahim. Keeper sends it long all the way into the other half, and there's a free kick for the Ivory Coast. Salah fouling the defender. Ivory Coast with the ball on halfway. Ali spreads it out left towards Diomande. He's been quieter in this second half. He goes inside to Sangare. Sangare midway inside the half. Direct ball into Crasso. Touches it first time and then gets it back on the edge of the area. Plays it to Ali once more. Left hand side of the box. Diomande wriggles free but can only find Doué out on this right hand side. He clips the ball in towards the box, but that's blocked, and that'll be another throw for the Ivory Coast. In fact, it's kept in and sent down the line to Amad Diallo. He goes on the outside down towards the byline, plays the ball in right footed, but dealt with by the Egyptian defence and then thumped long up towards halfway. Ivory Coast running another couple of changes, and we are going to see Bazama Mane Toure, who has got those 2 goals, and Seko Fofana. So Yan Diomande comes off, and so does Inawalai. So Toure onto that left hand side, Fofana into the middle, just to add a bit more height and size into that midfield as we creep towards the 90 minutes. Can the Ivory Coast get that equaliser? Egyptian throw just on halfway towards Mamouche. Tries to bring it down on his chest, but Amad Diallo will bring it away. Free kick given on halfway. Trezeguet fouled by Sangare. And by the time this kick is taken, we should find out how many minutes of additional time there will be. Clock is about to tick over to 90 minutes. Are the reigning champions just going to fall short in their defence? So, clock goes on to 90 minutes, and it's 5 additional minutes. 5 additional minutes for a final twist in this match. Keeper El Shenawi sends it long towards Mamouche, but he can't retain possession, but does win the second ball, but it is a foul given against Casono. So the Ivory Coast will be back in possession. Sangare just been told to take it again as the ball was moving, and Ivory Coast move it up to halfway. Conan finds Fofana, just come on. Plays it back to Sangare and Ndika on halfway. Ivory Coast looking to try and throw players forward. Ndika directs his ball in towards Bayo, who heads it down to Diallo. Diallo spins away from his man and gets into the box. His shot is blocked, but five for Fofana on the right hand side. He gets it out his feet, tries to deliver it into the box, takes a deflection, cleared away by Egypt, and Salah will find Trezeguet. Trezeguet plays it down the line and it bounces off of Doué, and that'll be a throw into Egypt. And we're going to see a change for the Egyptians in the 92nd minute. Omar Mamouche makes his way off, the Man City striker, and he'll be replaced by Mustafa Mohamed. Mamouche, who opened the scoring in the 3rd minute. It's going to be a big part of what looks to be getting his side through to the semi-finals. Egypt are unbeaten in their last 5 African Nations Cup quarter-finals. It's an incredible stat. It looks like they're very close to potentially making this 6 in a row. Ivory Coast win a free kick just down by the dugouts. They're going to be able to put this ball in towards the box. Egypt holding a high line on the edge of the area. Diallo looks to take the kick and he sends it diagonal. The keeper's come a long way and gets there first and punches it. Brave goalkeeping from El Shenawi. Delivered back in by the Ivory Coast, but it's going to be too strong. And that'll roll out of play for a goal kick. 93 minutes on the clock by the time the kick will be taken. Are Egypt going to get through to that semi-final? 2 minutes remaining. There's a yellow card flashed by our referee towards El Shenawi for time wasting, I assume, and then delivers the ball forward. Flicked on by Mustafa Mohamed, but cleared away by the Ivory Coast. Scrambled up in the air by Rabia, but Fofana can win it on the left hand side for Toure, who breaks towards the box, and that's a brilliant tackle from Ibrahim to slow him down. Still Ivory Coast in possession with Fofana, but he's overrun it. But luckily for him, Casono can retain possession and find Doué. Out to Diallo on this right hand side. Can he deliver the ball into the box? Twisting and turning on that left foot, and El Fatau does well to kick the ball against him, and Egypt will have a throw in their defensive left back area with 1 minute on the clock remaining. Referee blows his whistle and asks the Egyptians to get on with it. Ball throw-in taken short, and Egypt will win another free kick. Mohamed brought down. Some good game management going on from the men in red as they creep ever closer to that semi-final with Senegal on Wednesday night. Ball sent back to El Shenawi, sends it long, but Ivory Coast will win the first ball. Then Crasso knocks it down to Fofana. Fofana driving out towards this right hand side, running out of room, and 4 players around him, and it's El Fatau who does really well to steal the ball off him, and Egypt will play a lovely triangle to get out and then send it long over halfway. We're into the dying moments here. The 5 minutes are up as we wait for the referee, and he blows the final whistle in Agadir. Scenes of joy for Egypt as their playing staff from the bench sprint on to the middle of the pitch. They are through to the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations to play Senegal in Tanger on Wednesday, and their counter-attacking play has seen them through this evening. It's an absolutely fantastic game. The Ivory Coast players can take credit in the way that they've fought back. There might be some unsavoury scenes here. Ball into the bottom left-hand corner with a lovely finish to get us underway. Egypt then double their lead in the 32nd minute. A header from Rabia at the back post after a Salah corner turned it into the side netting on the left-hand side. Nothing that Fofana could do to keep it out of his nets. Ivory Coast did get a bit of a lifeline from a set piece of their own on the 40th minute. A Diomande cross was turned in on the goal line by El Fatau for an own goal. That took us into half-time. The Ivory Coast came out playing some good possession football at the start of the second half, but it was another breakaway goal from the Egyptians. Emam Ashour got himself free on the left-hand side and delivered a lovely right-footed cross with the outside of his foot into the box, and Mohamed Salah was there to use all of his experience, and he knocked in his 4th goal of the competition with his left foot. Again, nothing that Yahya Fofana in the Ivory Coast goal could do about it. It took until the 73rd minute for the Ivory Coast to get themselves back into the game. Another set piece that wasn't dealt with by the Egyptians. Ibrahim Sangare's trying to turn the ball in, but it was clawed off the line, and then Doué, the right back, flicked it in with his back heel, and then we ended up with the Ivory Coast banging on the door, but they couldn't make any more final chances, and it's the Egyptians that hold on. Counter-attacking has won the day for them this evening. They will go through to the semi-final, where they'll be looking to try and win 2 more games to get their 8th African Cup of Nations title, their first since 2010, if they can. But it's all over here in Agadir. Thank you very much for joining us on Flash Score. My name is Matt Roberts, and tonight's final score: Egypt 3, our reigning champions Ivory Coast 2. Thank you and good night.